So we're back to being in the crazy real estate market again. You probably want some tips on how to get your offer accepted when you write it. So I've got some tips on how to get your offer accepted when you write it. Check it out. Hey guys, how you doing? Derek here from M1 Realty. I'm the broker owner, founder of the company. Been in business here since 2014. Started out with a laptop up on the third floor of an office building here in Ferndale. And today, we're the #1 real estate company in the city of Ferndale, and I've got an all-star team of agents. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, invest, rent, whatever you need, we've got you covered. So if you've watched any of these videos, I've been talking for a while about how we've been in a really low inventory market. Things started to correct for the better, early at the beginning of the year. Everything quickly sold, so now we're back to an extremely low inventory market. The good news is, it's not quite as low as it was last year or the year before, but it's not great. So let's talk about what we need to do to get your offer accepted. So you've gone out, you found a house, you took your turn with the 11 other people that were down the street waiting to get into it, and it's the right house for you. So what do we need to do to actually get it under contract so you can buy it and not have somebody else buy it out from under you? Let's talk about it. This one's gonna be kind of obvious, but you want to make your offer as strong as possible. If you're looking at a house that kind of fell through the cracks and it's been on the market 62 days and it's had, there's obviously needs a little bit of work or something like that, or for whatever reason just hasn't sold yet, this might not be the case. But if it's a house that just hit the market today or yesterday and there's obviously a lot of interest in it, you're going to want to present your absolute best offer right off the bat. And if you get really lucky and maybe you're the first one to go see a house when it hits the market and you think there's a potential that it's really going to be a popular home, there's going to be multiple offers, and you want to definitely get your offer in, get it in quick, make it really strong, make it stand out, and you might actually be able to avoid a multiple offer situation. For example, I just got one under contract a couple weeks ago, and usually when I'm writing an offer, so I won't put an offer deadline in there. I don't put 24 hours or 48 hours and you have to respond to it by then or our offer drops dead. I always make mine valid until withdrawn because that gives us a little bit of extra leverage in the negotiating process. Plus, in this kind of market, if I give an agent 24 hours, they're going to take 23 hours and 59 minutes to respond to my offer, hoping that another one comes in the meantime. Then they can ask for highest and best, and the price goes up from there. So what I did with the house that I'm talking about was, I think we saw it at like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. I put a midnight deadline on that. So I kind of went the opposite direction. I told them, listen, if you guys don't respond to this by midnight, the offer is off the table and you're going to have to take your chances. Well, that worked because we got it accepted, and then I know for a fact, literally the next morning, they got another cash offer for $10,000 more than ours was. But at that point in time, we had an accepted offer. They had to take it. So the early bird gets the worm sometimes, but we came with it strong. We went a little bit over asking price, and we just made it worth their while. So they would have been, not knowing what else was going to come in. They didn't know they were going to get a higher offer in the next day. But, they didn't want to take the chance that maybe they wouldn't, and we just ended up getting it under contract. The other thing you can do is offer great terms, because dollar amount isn't always everything. A lot of this, in this market, you have to kind of look at the psychology of the seller as well. And what's the #1 reason that sellers are hesitating to put their home on the market? It's because they don't know where they're going to buy their next house. So what we want to do when we write that offer is build in as much occupancy as we possibly can after closing, and if you can swing it, make it free. And obviously this is on a case-by-case basis. If it's a flip and obviously nobody's living in the house, you don't need to give them 60 days after closing for free because they just want it gone. So, but in a situation where it's obviously somebody living there, if they put in, they might put in they want 30 days occupancy after closing, things like that. We want to make sure that we're giving them what they want, maybe even a little bit more, and making it cheaper free. Now, 30 days occupancy after closing is really no big deal because say, right now if we close a house in May, your first mortgage payment's not till July 1st. So if they need 30 days after closing, that whole month of June that they're going to be staying in there for free, you don't have a mortgage payment anyway. It's once we get into that 60 days of occupancy after, closing that, they're still going to be in that house in July. You're going to have made your first mortgage payment. And then, I mean, it depends on your financial situation. You got to take that on a case-by-case basis. I've even seen it where the first 30 days of occupancy are free. The second 30 days, the seller would just pay, for each day they stay in the house, they pay 1/30 of your mortgage payment. So it's still not really coming out of your pocket. I mean, there's a million different ways to structure it, but that's one of the terms that you can do to really make your offer stand out, something that's aside from price. A strong earnest money deposit doesn't hurt either. If you're going up against, 15 other offers and it, $1,000 probably isn't going to cut it. Now, do I recommend putting $25,000 earnest money down? Probably not, because if something goes wrong, like the higher the earnest money is, now if any little thing goes haywire with the offer, now that's enough money that people are willing to fight over it and go to court. And it's the law pertaining to earnest money deposits in Michigan is very, very cut and dried. But that being said, we don't want to make it so big that it's worth the seller's while to go after you for that earnest money deposit. And if it's an amount that's really going to hurt, just because, maybe, who knows, we missed a deadline with the title company or something that was out of our control, and now you're stuck, forking over, $25,000 for nothing. I mean, we don't want you to get in that position. But I would say, an earnest money deposit anywhere from like $2,500 to $5,000 on a, say it's a $250,000 house or something like that. I think that's more than reasonable. Another term that you can use to entice the seller in a multiple offer situation would be the closing date. And a lot of this is going to come into to my next point, which is having a strong pre-approval. But the fact that there are lenders out there that can close pretty fast. I mean, typically on a mortgage, you're going to be looking at 30 to 40 days or so to close. If you can get that done in half the time, that's going to make you stand out compared to those other offers. Which leads me into my last tip on making your offer stand out in this market right now is having that strong pre-approval. All pre-approvals are not the same, right? So on the listing side, that's one of the things that I definitely look for. I'm not here to talk smack on any other mortgage companies or anything like that, but there's certain mortgage companies that have a track record of being a little difficult to deal with on the mortgage side, like just getting cleared to close. Big banks are typically speaking not great. I mean, they don't specialize in mortgages. They specialize in lending money and having accounts there for you. Most big banks they provide mortgages because people expect them to. They might have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different programs, and if you don't fit into those programs, so too bad, so sad. A lot of them have like compliance, different levels of compliance to get to the closing table before they issue a clear to close. A whole bunch of like stuff like that doesn't really, it's not important for this video, but just know that you're much better off working with usually a local company that specializes in mortgages, that is using a loan officer that has a strong track record of being easy to work with and getting deals closed, and not other companies that are that maybe sound good on the front end, but just at the end of the day, can't perform at the same level. That is not going to help you in a multiple offer situation. Like, we don't want to. We want to be able to close as fast as we can, not have all kinds of delays. And the fact that there are companies out there that have the ability to get you closed, even with an appraisal and everything, in the first, within 2 weeks of going under contract. Now, not only does that set you apart from other buyers who are going to be using a mortgage, it even puts you into competition with cash buyers. And let me kind of focus in on that real quick, because that's a huge advantage when it comes to a multiple offer situation. The fact that, like, maybe we are going up against a cash offer, right? So what's the advantage of a cash offer? No need for an appraisal. So the appraisal is like usually the longest part of the whole mortgage process. Between the time it's ordered to the time it comes in could be 7 to 10 days. That's like over a third of the typical mortgage process. And a lot of these mortgage companies are set up, they have a certain process. They'll do the application, they order the appraisal. Once the appraisal comes back, it goes into final underwriting, and then you close. And that's why it takes like 30 to 40 days to get one of those mortgages closed. Now, when you have other companies that are set up a little bit of a more efficient way, where literally you can get a deal under contract and then get it closed in 2 weeks, now you're way at an advantage compared to other mortgage companies. But you can also close like a cash deal is going to take 7 days to close anyway, because title has to be ordered, the commitment has to come back, the title company has to be able to do their job, they have to be able to accommodate the closing, all that good stuff. So like it's very rare for a deal to get under contract and then close like within the 2 or 3 days. Usually doesn't happen that way. But with certain mortgage companies in the area, we do have that ability. I mean, I literally have a deal getting ready to close now. It's not closed yet because of a title delay. It wasn't anything on the mortgage side, but from the time that my buyers went in and applied for it to the time that they were clear to close was 8 days. And that's with an appraisal. So, I would have no problem going up against a cash offer in that scenario, knowing that we're going to be able to close just as fast. We have the ability to potentially offer more money on that deal too. So, it kind of goes back to what can you do to really make that seller excited to take your offer over every other offer they get in. Those are kind of the things that you can do on a when you need a mortgage. When we're in a little bit more balanced market, I still think we're going to get some more inventory later on. Toward as we move into summer, I really do think we're going to see more inventory hit the market than we had the last couple of years. So I'm hoping that this video doesn't have a very long shelf life, because this kind of market isn't super fun for anybody. It's kind of more stressful than it should be, and buying a house is already kind of stressful. But we have to make sure that we have to deal with the reality that we're in. We're in this kind of a market, so what do we have to do to just leverage everything to make sure that you get the offer? But when it's a more balanced market, then we don't have to worry about all this stuff. You just you go around, you look at a bunch of houses, find the one you like, write an offer, negotiate it out, close it. It's all good. But that's not the reality of the market that we're in right now in Oakland County, Michigan in 2023. So now that we talked about the things that you should do to make your offer strong, let's talk about some don'ts as well. One thing I definitely don't recommend is taking a lot of time to make up your mind on whether you want to rent on the house or not. Like in this market, a great house is not going to last very long. We're talking like a day or two on the market if you're unlucky. If you're lucky, you might get 5 or 6 days before it goes under contract. So if you go look at a house and it's been on the market 2 hours, you like it, but your significant other couldn't make it, I would, it's kind of counterintuitive, but you don't want to wait around for them to get off work and go have dinner and then go see it. And maybe you want to see if, mom and dad like it and get a second opinion from the family and all that stuff. Like all the stuff that you usually do when you're house shopping that everybody likes to do, we don't have time for that in this market. So we kind of have to do it in the reverse order. I advise my buyer clients that unless it's a hard no, we're writing an offer on it. Like just put something in. If you're just kind of on the fence about a house, or there's things about it that you kind of like, but it's not like the perfect house for you, you don't have to go full price on it, but just get something in there just to increase your chances. And there's nothing the way that we write offers. You're not locked into anything until we're past the inspection period on the house that you want. So that being said, write, if you see 50 houses and you like 40 of them, write 40 offers. You're not going to be locked into except for the one that you end up really wanting and picking. So we can kind of like flip the odds a little bit, instead of the seller being in the driver's seat. That's one of the few things you can do as a buyer in this market to kind of give yourself a little bit more leverage and negotiating power. And we're not doing this secretly either. I'll let every agent know that we have an offer, and hey, we got offers in on multiple homes right now. We're gonna take the one that we agree to the price and terms on first, and just let everybody know. And that way, that's like I said, one of the few things you do to potentially, make that seller who knows that they're in the driver's seat in the seller's market kind of question that and maybe accept your offer first. Another thing that, I get it, a lot of people are doing it in this market. I've never felt comfortable advising this at all, is waiving your home inspection. There's, people, I can see, making an appraisal guarantee, meaning that, if a house, say you got a house that's $250,000, if it only appraises for $240,000, you're agreeing to come out of pocket for that extra $10,000 just to get the house. I can see doing that. I never advise waiving your inspection, and I'll tell you why. Because there's just too many components in a home that have the potential to have something wrong with them. You could go into the most immaculate new construction home that just got built and just got the C of O from the city, and it's move-in ready, amazing, immaculate. You're gonna get a home inspector in there. They're gonna find 100 things that aren't exactly perfectly right with it. That's their job, to nitpick every little thing about every house. And that's not to say that we need to make a big deal out of everything, because most of the stuff isn't a big deal. It's more like you want to monitor this, that, and the other thing. But what if there is something wrong with it that, I've been on 1,000 home inspections. I know what to look for. A lot of times I can advise my client. I can notice red flags while we're walking through a house that most people don't see. But I'm not an inspector. There's times where I've sold homes and there's been things that an inspector found that I never would have even known to look for. So, I can imagine somebody who doesn't have 20 years experience and hasn't looked at 100,000 houses like I have, being in the dark on stuff like that. So you definitely still want that inspection. The thing that you could do is, typically we'll write a 7 or 8 day inspection period into the purchase agreement. Maybe make it 3 or 4. We can probably find somebody reputable that can get in that amount of time. That would be the kind of thing, for me, I'd probably call my inspector ahead of time just to make sure they have some availability, and that way I know how many days to build it out, and just tell the listing agent when you submit the offer that, we got this many days, my inspector's booked out. If they have a cancellation, we're first on the list, and we'll just get it done as fast as we can. But I don't ever advise waiving your inspection, guys. That's how you could potentially just end up paying way too much money for a money pit. You're not going to like that. I won't feel great about that. So let's just avoid that altogether and get a damn inspection. And then my third and probably most important don't in this video is just don't give up. You will get your house. You're going to end up with a house at the end of the day. This process in this kind of a market as a home buyer can definitely be frustrating. You might have to compromise on a few things that you didn't want to compromise on just to get into the house that you get into a house. But at the end of the day, if you persevere, you will get a house. If you're working with an agent who knows what they're doing, has the right strategy, you're gonna, multiple offer situations. There's only gonna be one winner, no matter how many offers there are. So potentially, you could write offer. I've had buyers that wrote on 15 houses and lost them all, and then we got the 16th because they didn't give up. And it's a house that they love living in. They're totally happy with it. So that's the moral of the story. Is just when I'm working with buyers in this kind of a market, I just let them know right off the bat, I'm committed to you 100%. I will keep working as hard as possible for you, as hard as I can, as long as it takes in order to get you that house. The only thing I ask in return is that you just don't give up on me. That's what else can you do in this market? I've got all the experience in the world of getting these kind of deals under contract, and I've lost more than I've won because there's not a solid, foolproof way to make sure you win a multiple offer situation aside from just back up the Brinks truck and throw as much money at him as possible and do all these other things that we just talked about. There's no guarantee that somebody's not going to come in with a higher offer. So my advice in that is always going to be the same, is go as high on the price as you're comfortable going and not a penny more. If somebody else wants to pay more for that house, then God bless them, let them have it. We're going to go get the next one. And that way, It just eliminates frustration. You'll know that you gave your best, and if it didn't work out, we're gonna get the next one or the one after that. It's just a matter of time before we get you your home. So yeah, just don't give up. It's a weird market, but it's one we've been dealing with for 3 years now, so everybody's kind of used to it. These are my strategies that I've come up with to kind of, mitigate the market as much as possible and just make sure that you have a successful outcome. Well, thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope this was helpful for you. I hope that I brought some value to you. I think I did. But at any rate, just let me know right in the comments down below. You can always reach out to me at 586-491-5622. You can also reach me at 248-561-6155. Email me at dwerenka@m1realty.net. Facebook Messenger, Instagram, Twitter, you name it, I'm on it. So you know the drill. You can get a hold of me. I'm easy to get a hold of, and I respond quick. And until next time, guys, thanks again. Appreciate you watching these videos and commenting, and it's awesome how many people are starting to reach out. That's why I do these videos, is for you guys, and I appreciate the encouragement that I've been getting, and getting some great clients as well from these videos that we're working with and getting houses under contract and getting them sold. So let's keep it up, and anything that you guys need, you know how to reach me, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.